Welcome to AF Engineer Your Future. My name is Martin Mueller. I'm a software engineer who loves consultancy. And because of that, I want to help others on their journey as a software engineer as well. Today, I'm speaking with Pedro Águas Marques. I know Pedro from meetups happening in Lisbon. I was and I am quite impressed by his attitude to learn from other engineers. I even decided to work with him at my AWS agency to help companies and startups with their AWS challenges. We are talking about his job search journey and we want to give you some tips how to be more successful on the job market. I hope you will enjoy it. Keep on engineering. Hello, Pedro. Welcome to Engineer Your Future. Can you tell the audience your full name, please?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. So, thank you for bringing me here, Martin. So, yeah, my full name is Pedro Miguel Águas Marques.
Nice. That is, I think, very Portuguese, I'm pretty sure. So you're from Portugal, right?
Yeah, 100% Portuguese.
And just shortly, is there a history to this name?
Yeah. So, the first name, I don't think anyone in my family has it, but the second name, I think they inspired on my brother's on my um on my father brother name. So the name of the brother of my father is Miguel. So I think they got the Miguel from there.
That's so cool. I think that's kind of a way to appreciate family members, right? So to give your child part of that name. I think that is really cool. So we are used to do this in the past as well from Germany, but not too much anymore, let's say. So it's pretty cool that Portuguese people still doing it. So you are here today because I and you and a lot of people just have this desire to help young engineers, young people to actually find a job in the engineering space or the data science space or in the remote space. And this is the reason why I do have you as a guest today. So but let's start first. So can you tell a bit about yourself?
Yes, just a brief introduction. So I'll do like a little pitch. I think it's the best. So I have 4 years of experience. Heavy more on the data engineering side. In terms of companies that I worked for startups, mid-sized companies, even big companies like, for example, Vodafone. In terms of certifications, I've taken so far completed and have certifications of 10. I'm a member of AWS User Group Lisbon, where I met you, Martin, for over a year. And in my last job search in 2024, I applied for about 40 jobs. And since I started my career, which was like 7 years ago, I sent about 300 job applications so far, which landed me a job like I said before on Vodafone, but also interviews in big tech, like for example Google and Microsoft and many other companies. And yeah, that's it.
I think that is really cool. That is like a huge variety of different company styles. Let's say you said startup, mid-size, and big companies. Even you worked at. So, what is your favorite in those kind of companies sizes? Let's say. So, do you have a favorite, or it's like always it depends?
Yeah, I think it depends really. So it depends what you're looking for. For example, there are pros and cons of each one. For example, I see that small companies are usually more flexible, more you get you get things faster, like into production and other things, which sometimes is good or bad. But you get more impact in terms of the implementation. But also the projects are usually smaller in terms of impact in society, which in bigger companies sometimes you take like 1 week for permissions and get your things into production, or even longer. But at least the small thing that you did will have a large impact in the population, because usually they have like a huge pool of clients that pay them a lot. So I would say that's one of the key differences that I see.
Actually, that is pretty cool. So you're saying like in small companies and in big companies can always be happening that you have so that you have a on one hand you can influence the life of a lot of people and
as well, more in a startup, you kind of have you can move more wheels, let's say, right? You have a bigger leverage and
Yeah.
going more quick to production. And yeah, I think that's really exciting. And what you are usually helping those, let's say, startups and bigger companies with?
Okay, so my first company that I worked with was actually a startup. Was a small consultancy company. I think at the time we were about eight, uh, two partners, which created the company, and yeah, other people. And I think in terms of engineering, I think we were about three, or I think we were about three. And yeah, at the time I used a lot of Oracle and Apex and those kind of technologies, which today I don't see many job posts about it, but I know that a lot of people still use it. And yeah, that was my first experience. And then in terms of startups, that was actually a startup, a real startup, because it was like less than 15 people. Because I usually don't know if I should call, like, for example, companies over 50 as startups, because they already have some structure, at least some. But what do you think? Do you think they are startups, or do you count them as already mid-sized
Yeah,
companies,
I
or
think
not startups but small companies?
yeah, I think the line is very blurry, to be honest, right? So it's kind of really hard to
Yeah.
find an exact fitting definition. I'm working for as a CTO for a company, Hello Casa, which is like 8 years old, let's say, and we are still seeing ourselves as a startup. So you might well say, "Wow, that's a old startup." I guess there is some hard definition out there, but yeah, I think the line is very fuzzy. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So you mentioned you in the past you did like around 300 or more applications, right, to various
Yes.
companies.
Mhm.
And I bet there was a lot of learnings over the time when you made those applications. So can you share with our audience those learnings?
Yes. So maybe I can start like from the beginning, where I started sending resumes,
Mhm.
which was, I think, more or less when I was on my high school. So I was finishing high school and getting to college, where I was going to do the course of um, computer science or computer engineering, if you may. And in before I got to college, I wanted to see what were the if I really needed like a degree to get the job, and it was actually possible. So I sent resumes, and I was actually getting uh, some replies, actually, for the positions I was applying. It was a pretty high success rates. For example, internships and real jobs on consultancy companies also. But yes, since I wanted to take my degree and be more specialized, that was just an experiment. And then over the my degree, I tried to send resumes more of an internship focused. Although sometimes I sent for an internship and they wanted me to for a full time job, but I really didn't have the I really didn't have the availability for it, so I usually turned them down. But in terms of internships, yes, I got some. I got one at for example, the first company that I worked for was actually an internship, like for that startup. And yeah, also had a couple of other internships. For example, the role at Vodafone was also an internship there. It was a summer internship, and yeah, after that it was usually more research focused and more full time jobs from then on. But if you want to know a very specific time, you can ask.
So I think so. If I understand correctly, you started already applying for like jobs, internships before you finished your degree, right? So
Mhm.
that's so cool. Actually, I think I was not that smart, let's say. So you kind of try to get already experience uh, before you finished it, and I think that's a really good takeaway. Actually, it's kind of don't wait until like a certain point. Kind of just start right now. Kind of, to get real experience
Yeah,
and.
but I wouldn't say that was smart. I think it really depends. I was just trying. I think it was like exploring, not like with an objective of actually getting a job, but exploring to see, do I actually need a degree to get a job? But yeah, you don't. What I mean is, you can get a job if you're just in a degree. At the time, it was, I think, 2017. So if you're just in a degree, you can get a job even before you finish. Your first month into the degree, and you can actually get a job. Then, I don't know, drop out if you want.
Yeah. I think it was smart, definitely. So it shows some eagerness, and willingness to go the next step. So I think that is really, really cool. Nice. And I think you recently switched job, right? Your roles quite recently. Can you share a little
Yes,
bit
I changed.
awesome. Can you share a little bit with the audience what this transition was and what was the motivation behind?
Okay, yes. So in terms of changing roles, the most the story that I remember really well was when I was finishing my master degree in 2020, and I was not in 2020, but actually 2022, where I was finishing my master degree in college, and I was looking for a job. At the time, I was already working for a company full time in research, and at the time, I really didn't have like a huge network of people that I could rely on to just say, okay, I'm looking for a job. Can you get me a job? I had some friends that were already working, but none of them had really positions that I could apply for. So it wasn't that big of a network in that regard that I can just reach out and get a job. So I remember that my first challenge was like getting my foot through the door, like just sending my resume and getting in, Um, I noticed that since, like you said, I tried to apply since I started college. My degree was really focused, for example, on the subjects that I took in college, volunteer work that I did, uh, and some projects that I did by myself. I think it was like more than half of my resume. But companies, when they are looking for full time positions, at least at that in that year, they were more looking for people with experience. They wanted to know, okay, I'm working at this company as a data scientist. What did you do there? What did you do? And I didn't realize that my CV was bad until I was sending him, and I didn't get a lot of responses. Well, for internships I got, but for full time jobs I was barely seeing any responses. So I did to solve that. I tried to do boot camps. Also, I did some courses on CV, multiple courses on CV, and tried to learn a little bit about everything, and that helped a ton. I can say how much that helped because I was from almost no jobs, no, not even a single interview to a lot of them that sometimes was even difficult to manage by how many there were. And yeah, the second problem that I had during my job search was actually my parents, because since I didn't have like this huge network, I was focusing on my parents' advices, but my parents were not. The last time they looked for a job was like 40 years
Yes.
ago, or no, not 40 years ago. I don't want to sound like too much, but maybe 35 years ago or something like that. So the reality was really different. The 90s were very different from what it is today. So I got advices like, do not prepare for the interviews and just be yourself. That people will cherish that and they'll value that. But again, I was applying for full time positions, not internships. Okay, that's important. So also they said to focus on more on how I look than preparing what I would say. So comb my hair, wear like a good thing, like trim my beard. Like I was focusing more on that than actually preparing the interviews. And of course let the recruiters do all the talk. Stop being picky about the jobs. It's just look just pick the first thing that comes to you to, like, if a position is open, just apply to it. Don't even see the requirements. You are a tech person, you can do any tech role. Since I was not having like any success with those kind of of
Yeah.
advices, um yeah,
Okay, I
I
see.
started
So
reaching out to, yeah.
yeah, sorry, just I see you. So you increase your likelihood with applying to a lot of companies, let's say, because as more as you apply, it's more likely it is someone answers you. You mentioned networking. I think that's a really interesting aspect. So that you as well said you made those boot camps and other. So I think on one hand it helped you to increase your skills as an engineer, but on the other
Mhm.
hand, increasing your network, right? You did know more people, you had more opportunities, and as well, at some point you started to go to those meetups where we met, and probably you did meetups before we met each other. I would be maybe yeah, you did those more and more, increased your network. And I think, from my opinion, networking is it is very difficult. That's true. If you're not blessed with a amazing network, maybe from birth, it's really hard to increase it. So, but I think it's absolutely possible. Yeah, for example, through those meetups, and to other events, and learn people.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw you becoming very, very strong with this as well. Getting interested in networking, knowing more people, and actually as well, partly going out of your comfort zone, right? Or at least for me, speaking with people every day, I never feel too comfortable with that. But just keep doing it, definitely changed something in me, and now I totally enjoy networking. I would like to your take on it.
So my take on networking.
How important do you think networking is?
So just to answer your first question, if the networking made any difference on my job search, like I said, this was into 2022. I didn't even met you, so I wasn't in no networking group at the time, so I was relying on zero networking to get my job. But right now I think I never got a job from networking. Never. Well, it depends. I think you are the only exception, because I worked for you in the past, so you're the only exception. But most of the job. But
the agency I started here in Portugal, right? So we got an exciting client from USA, which I got over networking, and I actually plan in continuing this kind of direction. Networking and finding exciting clients around all over the world, and having you as my colleague, I think that is very amazing. You and I did a great work here. So that's what I know you are short on time. So I would just for our closing, how can people reach out to you?
So reaching out to me, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. They can also reach out to me on my LinkedIn. You can get to my personal website, and then on my personal website there's an email there you can send messages to, and you can look for me, and send a message if you want to meet or network, like I'm doing right now with Martin. So be comfortable to that.
I will put all those in the show notes, so people can reach out to you easily. And I hope to see you soon again in one of our meetups or at our next client at the AWS agency. So thank you so much, Pedro, for your time. Enjoy the week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That was my talk with Pedro. I hope you liked it. As I mentioned in the talk with him, I'll put all the relevant information into the show notes. If I forget something, just tell me and I'll edit. At this podcast, named AF, Engineer Your Future, I want to discuss topics around helping engineers find a job in the cloud area, how to combine a religious life with engineering, and cloud-related charity projects you are working on. If you have any of those topics, please reach out to me. I would gladly talk with you. Also, reach out to me if you have feedback how I can improve this podcast. It's all about improving, right? If you like this podcast, please consider sponsoring this podcast. Find the information in the show notes. This helps me to keep this podcast maximum independent and to do just more of those episodes, and do them professionally. If you cannot or want to sponsor this podcast, don't worry. Please just share it. That would help me a lot, Also, I do have an AWS agency. So if you need any help with AWS related services or like a startup or anything and like that, please reach out to me. Fired up my code today. Got that resume on display. Algorithms on my mind. In this journey I will find, dreaming of that perfect post where my skills can be the most, debugging life and taking flight.
climb right to the top. Binary in my heart, every line in our full stop. Interviews and late night stress, persistence leads to success, pushing through a steady pace. In this race I find my place. In a hurry stars align, got that offer signed online. Coding passion burning bright, future's clear within my sight. Code your dreams, I'll never stop till I climb right to the top. Binary in my heart, every line and a full stop. Binary stars align, got that offer signed online. Coding passion burning bright, future's clean within my sight. Code your dreams, I'll never stop till I climb right to the top. Binary in my heart, every line and a full stop.